Hey guys, how you doing? Gavin Timms with REI Network, back with another episode. Super cool guest, two of my favorite people. Before I introduce them, I just want to give you a quick giveaway. We just completed, as I've talked about in other podcasts, our deal in Maui. I'm going to put together a case study on how we found the deal, exactly the numbers, how it all worked. So make sure you go to reinetwork.com/Maui, reinetwork.com/Maui, and get involved. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube, okay, make sure you like and subscribe. Same on the podcast, REI Network with Gavin Timms, and you'll get my other shows there as well. Right, two of my favorite people, Steve and Coco. Guys, how are we?
Doing good, doing good.
Fabulous, yes.
Good.
Need some sunshine and 70-degree weather, but other than that, doing good.
And that's what it is here right now as we're recording this. 72 today.
Oh, must be nice.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. You should. Come on. I told you.
Yeah, what are we? Well, we're 31 today.
Oh, brutal. I'm sorry. Well, look, I appreciate you coming back on. It's always good. I actually had someone bring you up the other day and said, when are you going to get Steve and his wife back on? Because they seemed to, we had a good laugh when they watched our last one. So that was good.
I'm a serious type guy, Gavin. How could that happen?
Exactly. And it's actually really funny because I wish I could have started the podcast 15 minutes ago. I was trying to actually get onto Zoom, right? Which is good because we're going to come on to that, right? In terms of you guys do a lot of deals, you're successful, we've been working together now for a few years. And it just goes to show, you know, technology is not the strongest thing, but you still get things done. So it's no excuses, right? You know, we've helped you get things in place. The VAs, we're going to talk about that and how that's working for you. But I think the cool thing is that, you know, when we talk about systems, people that haven't got a technology level kind of get stressed out saying, well, I can't operate the computer and I can't do this and I can't do that. And that's more important why you need systems, in my opinion. So people are doing all that for you. So again, you guys can focus on making money. So we're going to cover all that, but let's start with how are you both? I mean, how was 2020? What's going on in the Zimmer household?
2020 was better than 2019, even with the COVID. Finally felt like we got our feet underneath ourselves. And so 2020 was, I mean, I built three good teams, and I'm working on a fourth and a fifth as we speak. So right now it was
a lot better than 19.
Yeah. And
2021 is going to be even better.
Yeah. So 2021 is our year that we plan on accomplishing quite a bit more than we did last year. I think we finally, how do I put it? It's like we got it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
The light bulb went off.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. And we're going to talk about that because, I mean, you've had a great opener to the year. You got 5 contracts last week. You got one while I was on the phone with you earlier today.
Yeah, today.
So very impressive. And I want to talk about, you know, the process where the thing that we originally built on small scale, I think from my input and in terms of what I see, is that you can take this model now and all you're doing is duplicating it in other markets or other areas within the state, right? Would you say that's fair?
Yes.
Okay. And would you say that it's fair that once you have that foundation in place and understand what you need to build next and what you need in each location, it's now easier to do because you understand what you need, what works? Would you say that?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we've kind of done. And that's how you've started to scale and get this momentum, you know, from 19, not great, you know, us having conversations of like, can't get a deal done. And now you're cranking them out. All we do really is we do check-ins of how much kind of money you're making, what deals you're doing, you know, which is good. Right. And that's what this is all about. So what marketing are you doing right now? What's kind of
marketing? All we do is cold calls, and our VA sends out text messages, SMS messages. That's all the marketing we do.
Yeah.
other than that, we don't send out mailers. We don't send out postcards. Word of mouth.
Yeah, I was
we
gonna
get
say word of mouth.
Word of mouth works
Yep.
real good. I do have a guy that goes around and what do you call it? Drives for dollars, and I only pay him on what we close on. So,
yeah. Well, on that though, you're still, that's a list, right? And you're still doing the cold calling and texting to that list, correct?
yes, yes.
Yeah. So the same as me, you're cold calling, you're texting. I know we help you kind of get your cold callers and your text for your admin. I know you kind of love your admin, your new admin. Well, not new now, probably what, 4 or 5 months, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do for you? What does your admin VA do?
That's Coco's side.
Well, basically, we have a task list. He's got like 11 tasks daily that he has to do. Number one is to get on a phone call with us every morning. And then, of course, we have to keep Steve in check, and his priority is to get Steve's number for the day. Steve, yeah, he has to do that box or however he can get it. He gets his numbers. Then he does like SMS, email blast, call, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Sends out our contracts. And then there's a few others. Like he looks for leads for us as well. Whether it be Zillow, PropStream, wherever, he's pulling a list of that daily too to help keep our leads going.
Got it.
Yeah.
So let me just touch on a couple of points here. So you're outsourcing your weaknesses. You're outsourcing, the lower dollar activities, right? Yeah. And what that's doing is it's allowing you to be more efficient, would you say?
Yeah.
Right. So what happens is Steve's on the phone. So Coco kind of, this is what I see, and you can correct me. Coco is like kind of oversees things that's happening, right? That Steve's doing what he needs to do. The VAs are doing. The communication is absolutely key, right? The communication every single day, right, is just,
yeah, if you don't have the communication with the VAs, you might as well forget it, because they're going to go do what they want.
They'll take advantage of the situation.
They will.
Yeah. But you need to know for your business, it's only just because they're in the Philippines or not, you should be meeting with your team every day. You need to be communicating with your team. And that goes to show with the results that you get. The same with us. We check in with every VA every day, twice a day. Twice a day, before and after the shift, and anything that they need, right? But they have to communicate at the start and at the end, okay? So you do that well. The other thing is, so when the lead comes in, Steve speaks to them. How do you get that information back over to the VA?
We've had the VA make up a call list for Steve. So he's not really using the REI Simple list because he was confused on that, Steve and computers.
Yeah.
So there's a call list that the VA sends us every day. And so at the end of the call list, there's notes. So Steve will let him know whether he called him, got an answer, anything like that. And then the VA takes those notes and either puts, to call back on a couple of days later, or whatever he needs to do with it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it should be. So Steve, you're not obviously great with technology, so we've removed that. REI Simple is the hub of the business. You're getting the VA to give you your task for the day, so you're out of it. You then go through them. You give them, the VA, the feedback on what the notes need to be, correct? And how are you doing that? Are you putting them onto the spreadsheet? Are you Voxering him? Are you, how are you telling him what his next task is?
I'm actually typing it in my notes.
Okay.
I'll transfer my notes from paper, like on a seller. I'll put down all the information I've got because lately I've been getting some leads that are per se out of my market. So I'm working that market. I'm trying to figure out the market. And I've got someone I'm working with up there here. In fact, we just Skyped each other or whatever we did here recently. But she's going to be my main runner up there. So what I'll do is I'll send her the information that I've got, and then my girl up there will go run the properties, take pictures, and come back to me. And let's say I make an offer for $80,000 and she comes back and says, Steve, you got to get this for 60,000 or less. Then I know where I'm going to be if I'm off. So that's how I go to my market through my other people. That's how I've always done it. I mean, I can look at PropStream, I can look at Zillow and all that stuff. But until you talk to the people in the know, I don't feel comfortable sometimes with throwing the lead.
Okay. So we're going to come on to that. I'm going to jump back for 1 second. Okay.
What about the VA? Yeah,
the VA though, when you take the notes from the call, regardless if it's a no answer, regardless if the seller said go and pound sound, regardless if it needs to make an offer, whatever that is, how are you getting that back to the VA to get into REI Simple? You're typing in the notes and that's where they're getting it from, right?
Yes. He gets it from that same list that he sends me.
So it's an active document. Got it. Right.
Yes.
So you're staying out the CRM. Perfect. What you could do, what you could do is take a picture of how it depends on handwriting, how good your handwriting is, right? But if you've got decent handwriting, you don't have to actually update that document. You could just send him a picture of your notes and let him update it. If your notes make sense. So
there's a couple of things about that. Number one, I don't know that his phone's really the greatest.
Right.
The VAs.
Yeah, because he said something about it fell in the toilet. So
who said that? The VA did?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So he's been boxering, so I don't know if he got a phone back and I forgot to ask.
No, but I know where you're coming from. It just seems like when I send him notes like that, I spend, it seems like an observed amount of time answering questions, and it takes him forever to finish that project because he'll say, is this so-and-so? Is this,
Yeah, well, that's the handwriting side of it, right? That's why I was wondering. But if it's working, it's still making sense that you're out the CRM. Okay. So that's obviously the key. People, you've got to be out the CRM if you're going to make money. If you're not, regardless if you've got technology background or not, because while you're in there, you're not making any money. So the fact is that you've got leads coming in. The VA is telling you what to work. You're updating the notes on the spreadsheet. They're going to transition it back into the CRM. So they're keeping the business organized in the CRM, and then they're just feeding you what you need to know for that day, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So that's great. That's a big takeaway for everyone listening. That's why I wanted to just touch on that. Okay. And obviously, if you get the right VA with the right training, then you're not the one, obviously, and this is important for everyone to understand, is that you're not the one training the VA, right? I know Coco's done some work with them, but obviously Rod, my teams help train them.
Right.
Yeah,
because
they came from you and Rod.
Excuse me, but we have a dog needs to either go out or get a snack. Go ahead, Steve.
We got them from Rod and you and Rod. Our phone caller I love this guy. He is so good. But yeah, they both came from your organization. So yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
It's good, but I think people they get so hung up with this training stuff, right? And if you can put the right processes in place, I know we help you, but still the right processes, people that need these people that they're so efficient, they bring in so much money for the business when they're good. That's why for $5 an hour, it's just mind blowing to me. I mean, I have probably 7 of them that work with me. The $5 an hour, and they just bring in so much money. It's great. And so I just, again, for everyone listening, just want to get that out there. So now you've already touched on this. I'm going to come on to what you were saying. Your model is very much the same as mine, nearly, right? In terms of the things that are the same is that you're in the business more than I am, right? But you are not going and seeing houses. You are virtual. You are working from home. You don't go and get pictures. You don't go face to face with the seller ever. You're not doing any of them things the same as me, right? And that's kind of, is that?
I do when I need to get out of the office because Coco and I are stuck here 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So sometimes Coco needs a break. So yeah, like a week ago Saturday, my buddy up in town about 2 hours away said, "Hey, I'm going to show this house to a seller." He said, "But by the way, he's got this little pub and they got the best chicken wings I've ever had." I said, "Well, I got to go with you then." So
then you can
so I ran up there. Plus I picked up a check. So I ran up there and so every now and then just to get out of the house, just to do something. And I came home 6 o'clock at night, left at 10, got home at 6, and Coco said, "I had a great day."
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So you pick though. You don't have to go. You just choose to go to get out the house. All right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah. And what is also important though, when we go into virtual markets, exactly the same way as me, is that we can analyze through PropStream and Zillow, and we can do them things, right? We can look at active zip codes. We can look at where buyers are buying, where are the cash buyers buying, who's there. We can find out the wholesalers on the ground. We can do all that, but there's something to be said about inside information. And what I mean by that is people on the ground that are actually doing this, that we're partnering with to get your information from that's actually working, right? Because I can go and look at cash sales, let's say in Alabama, and it might put me in the hood, right? Where it's not really a cash buyer. Anyone's buying. These things are $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $7,000, $8,000. So they're not really investors. They're just like anyone, family buying them and things like that, right? So that's going to be a market where it'll come up with the numbers, but it's not really like true cash buyers. They're actually doing it on a regular basis. So you're using these people on the ground, correct, to obviously get your information back, number one, to where you should be marketing. You're gathering that from them. But number two, you're using them to give you the feedback from the seller, from the runners and the people taking pictures, so you can then renegotiate the deal. Is that right?
Right. For example, in one town, my man that's got his boots on the ground, he said, "Steve, here's what's happening in this area." He said, "So this is why it's a good buy." He said, "They're getting ready to build a humongous park right across the street." He said, "We need to grab this house because we can sell it for a good amount of money." So if you aren't there, you can look at all the comps in the world, but you don't know what's going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and that's what I like about having those people there. And my two favorite ones that I have out in the field, they know their market like the back of their hand. And they do all the work for me, to be honest with you.
They're godsend.
Yeah, they are godsend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you're still bringing value on what you're doing. And this is what, again, it's the same model as me, right? I travel, as you know, we just went over, I'm in Mexico next week, come back, getting in the RV, going to Arizona, coming back, I'm going to be gone traveling for probably 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks. But things are still happening, right? Because you have the things in place. You have the team on the ground to be able to work with. And because people look at it and say, well, why don't they just do it on their own, right? Why don't they just do it all? And people just misunderstand like what it takes to run a business, I think, right? There's more than one thing. As a sole wholesaler, you can probably I think you can only make $100,000 a year as an individual wholesaler, in my opinion, doing everything from start to finish, from doing the marketing, taking the calls, going to see the properties, dispoing, doing all them things, right? And you're working to make that amount, in my opinion, right? Or you can choose to build out your team and focus on what you're good at, right? Which is kind of what we've done with you. You've outsourced all your weaknesses, your strengths on the phone, negotiation, right? Having conversations. So if you focus on that and someone else is doing the dispo and moving the deal, then even though you're partnering with people just like I do, you're still making more money than trying to do it all on your own.
What you're getting is time. That's the key, is time. I had mentioned 3 weeks before Christmas break and 3 weeks after Christmas break, to give you an example. My daughter works first shift. My son-in-law works third shift. She's a school teacher, but yet she had to go to school. Well, her kids didn't have to go to school. They had to be taught on the computer. Well, they can't do it on their own because they're 11 and they're 5 and they're 2 years old. So they came here for 6 out of those 8 weeks. We would never have been able to do that and close on deals if we didn't do it the way we do it. Because there's times, I hate to admit this, there's times that I might work an hour a day, especially when the kids were here, because I'm enjoying the kids or helping with the kids and doing this, that, and the other. So what it gives me doing this is time, you know, and you're right. You might only make $100,000 as a wholesaler during the year because you're doing everything. Well, what are you giving up? You're giving up your time. Whereas in this scenario, I really expect to make quite a bit more money next year than we made this year. And I expect it to be where.
Well, see, the other business that we had before this one, the internet took that over. And it was kind of like a relief for me because we were 20 hours a day, and that is not a lot.
16. But
we were running it ourselves. We didn't have a team in place. And so, I mean, to know from that other business to this business, I would much rather work this way than the other way. We wouldn't have been able to have those kids had we had the other business because we would be just working behind our desk all day or going, you know.
You should see my movie list this year. It's phenomenal.
Well, you're exactly right. Lifestyle business, isn't it? Right?
It's lifestyle. It is. It's lifestyle. It's not even about the money. Although the money's nice, don't get me wrong, but it's not about the money. It's about getting your life back. And that's what Coco and I were wanting to do, is get our life back.
Yeah.
And that's
what I teach. I'm not the one that's going to get you to do, 40 people in an office, massive marketing budgets, huge overheads. It's just not how I run the business. And it's not how I teach it. I don't have the vision for it, right? I think, for me coming from England, I've got to get home if I need to. And I have to be able to be built in that way. And I think there's so many people with either W-2 jobs or in the business that can't have a day off. And I know wholesalers that run big operations, they take a week off, they'll lose too much money.
Yeah, because they've got too much of an overhead.
Exactly. Too much overhead, and they can't do it virtually.
Right, exactly.
They can't afford to leave.
That other business, we cleared $500,000 one year.
Yeah.
And, but we had no time to spend any of the money or have any fun with it, and this, here it's just.
I never got to use my 7-iron that whole season.
Exactly. Yeah. Here's the thing, guys. If anyone's whoever's listening here, that Steve constantly on coaching calls will be in the chat box trying to put me off at every opportunity while I'm teaching something to do with golf or 7-iron or a pitching wedge. I've never actually asked you, Steve, do you actually play golf?
I'm a scratch golfer. After every shot, I scratch my head wondering where the ball go. My son was a scratch golfer for a while, but he hasn't played for a while. But I haven't. I haven't golfed. I didn't golf last summer at all. I hurt my shoulder.
Yeah.
So in fact, I'm going to the doctor Wednesday to find out what's up with it. But my shoulder, I can't even shoot a basketball right now.
Stay. Yeah. Well, make sure you don't try and do anything then.
I would be one to go drive the cart and walk and shoot. I like golf. I really do. Yeah. I just don't do enough of it.
I like the weather you play in it. So,
but anyway, so. Well, that's good. That gives people, I think, a lot, especially kind of, with the systems that we have in place, building the team to outsource your weaknesses, I think is pretty much the nail of this conversation, right? Outsource your weaknesses, focusing on your strengths, partnering, doing deals, collaboration. And you're now, like I said, 5 contracts last week. You picked one up today. You've had a great start to the year. And now you're just going to obviously dominate. You've now gone as well. You're spreading across all of Ohio. You're doing this in multiple areas. And I will just throw this out, guys. If you do have a deal I'm going to give you Steve and Coco's email. It's ccb, Charlie Bravo, property solutions at gmail.com. ccb property solutions at gmail.com. If you have a deal under contract that you want them to partner on, they have a lot of buyers in multiple areas. I'm sure they'll be happy to JV. So get in touch. If you are a cash buyer watching as well, make sure you drop them an email. They've always got deals, as I've just talked about, that they're going to be moving. So definitely people for Ohio you need to know, you need to network with. Okay. Just want to throw that out in case I forget. So guys, anything else? What would you say, going back a few years now, like where you were to kind of where you are now, like, what would you say, someone starting off or someone that's, kind of doing all of the work or that's been in watching all the training and not taking any action? Like, what have you got? What's your personal advice to them?
Honestly, you got to get your butt kicked. I know that sounds stupid, but I think if you get your butt kicked, which I did for quite some time, and you just plow through it and you realize that, it eventually does grab hold. And when you find your people to work with, you've got to have a relationship with those people and you've got to trust them and you've got to know that they have not only your best interest at heart, but also the client's best interest at heart.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, I think Coco will agree, I got my butt kicked and I would quit. And that's no lie. I sounding this crap. And Coco is the one who pushed me. So yeah. So in that sense, but
I kept telling them the next no will be a yes. The next no will be a yes.
Which I'd also heard from you. Mm-hmm. Get the no out of the way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But
this game.
And it's, the old saying, fake it till you make it. And there's a lot of truth to that. Act like, if you don't know it, act like you do.
Just take action.
You
just have to do it.
Talk to people. All of a sudden, something happens and boom, someone says, yeah, I need to sell this property. And it's like, really? Hang tight. And then you yell for Coco, I need your help.
Or you yell for Gavin, what do I do next? What do I do?
Yeah. So that's how it actually worked for us. I think Gavin, that I didn't do anything for a minute. I didn't have a clue.
I know we struggled. I mean, we struggled early on. I remember our one-to-one coaching calls when you were kind of in a lull, I wouldn't say depressed, but a lull. Like you were just like, kind of everything's against me, nothing's working, what's going on? And, and I deal with that with a lot of clients, and I can only say that to you on here because one, I know you don't mind. And two, you've obviously now come through it. Right. So I think people need to understand that everyone's in the same position. Right. And you already had the bit that made the money. In my opinion, you could talk. So if we could get you to focus on that, which was what the goal was, and get all this other nonsense about trying to get on the computer and being in REI and knowing all these things, like forget all that. If we can take care of that and you can focus, you're going to get deals done and building relationships. And the stronger the relationship with the wholesales, the team, the buyers, everything. I named REI Network because I believe everything's network. You're only as good as your network.
No, I agree. Mm-hmm. I agree.
And that's why I wanted the name, because it's just so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was one thing a couple years back, I remember a phone conversation we were on, and we were saying, well, we're not doing this and we're not doing that. And we're not, and he's not. And the one thing you said to us that resonated really with me was, well, let's not focus on what you're not doing and look what you did do. Yeah. And that kind of put a lot of things into perspective. It really did.
Start focusing on what can go right instead of what can go wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, we've made great strides in that. So
thank you.
And if there's anything I lack is I don't work as hard as I should, but.
Yeah, but we're all guilty of that. I am the same, when I'm going here, there and everywhere and the business is doing well, but I could always be doing more, And I just think that's natural. But at the same time, look at what you've built to what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve. And that's the key.
Yeah. Yeah. I I had a good friend that had a business and he made $100,000 on a house and he was so excited. And then he started thinking, that's going to cover my overhead for 3 whole months. I've got to find more.
Yeah.
And that's when he downsized and he took care of himself.
And I know, Steve, I'm in masterminds, right? And I wouldn't plug anyone's name, but I see it all the time and it's bad. And like for me, like I see it, the high level, when they're going, we got to do, I've heard people say, I got to do 35 deals this month to break even.
Right. I don't want that.
That's ridiculous. That's mad. I need to be profitable from deal one. That's the way I look at it. Deal one has to be profitable. And then everything else, profit. And it's all about what you're putting in your pocket, right? And that's what matters. And there's no like pounding chests about it and giving it how many millions gross you do. That's all good, but how much are you putting in your pocket? That's what we all want to really know. You know?
Exactly.
So, no, well, look, I appreciate you both. Appreciate you getting on. And you know, I just think people find you super real. And I think it's good with kind of the networking stuff and the outsourcing and just listening to you is super important. So I appreciate it. And yeah, anything else before we get done?
Oh, I don't know.
I miss you. I miss you.
Yeah, it's good to talk with you guys. If you're interested in working with us, go to reinetwork.com/coaching, reinetwork.com/coaching. And we'll get on the phone. And guys, I will see you on the coaching call Tuesday and we'll go from there.
Send us some sunshine.
I will. I'll try. All right, guys. Appreciate you both. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.